Hey everybody, welcome to the Mana Leek. I'm John as always, and of course, it happened. I posted that video on the 11th talking about the preview cards that day and saying how we probably wouldn't have another one for a couple of weeks, and surprise, here we are with a whole bunch of cards. Wizards released the mechanics article for Theros telling us that we'll be getting back Devotion and Constellation and Gods and our new mechanic of Escape that we've already talked about a little bit with Elspeth. And they also released an event on Arena where you get to play with a whole bunch of not only new cards from Theros, but also the Power 9 and other random old cards. It's kind of a cool event. It's free. Check it out. Now, a whole lot of these are pretty basic commons on commons, so we're going to blow through a lot of them. But let's get started in color order here with Commanding Presence up first. It's 3 and a white for an enchantment aura at uncommon. You get to enchant a creature, of course, and then enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has first strike. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Obviously, a pretty limited looking card, and even then it's going to be auras. Depends on how much bounce is in the format or how much instant speed removal, how blown out you're going to get. Obviously, if you can get at least a couple of soldiers off of this, it's at least going to replace itself, but this is going to be one of those cards that I'm going to get blown out by, and I'm probably not going to play too much, but we'll have to keep an eye on what the rest of the set looks like. Up next is a pretty big one, Daxos, Blessed by the Sun. Daxos is back. He's a white legendary enchantment creature demigod, which is a new character creature type. At uncommon, it's a 2-star because his toughness is equal to your devotion to white. Devotion, of course, being the number of color pips, so he's at least a 2/2 for 2. Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain a life. Cool little card here. I could definitely see this being some sort of value engine card in a white weenie deck. If it'll be a huge card in limited, who quite knows? We'll have to take a look at the rest of the set, but it seems pretty darn decent. I'd never not play it, and this could, push white weenie into a deck that exists in standard. Hero of the Winds is up next. Hero of the Winds is 3 and a white for a creature human soldier at uncommon. It's a 1/4 flyer, and whenever you cast a spell that targets Hero of the Winds, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. It's heroic, except there's must not be quite enough of this effect to actually just call it heroic for this this set. It was heroic in original Theros, but this is a cool little card. 1/4 flyer for 4, a little bit overcosted, but giving all of your creatures +1/+0 when you hit it with something. That's cool. It's going to be a fine card. It's probably not going to see any constructed play whatsoever, but fine enough card for limited. Indomitable Will is up next. Indomitable Will is 1 and a white for an enchantment aura at common with flash. Enchanted creature gets +1/+2. It's another aura. We're on Theros. Enchantments matter. We're going to see a bunch of auras. They're still going to be pretty mediocre most of the time. This is one of those auras that's a flash aura, so it's a combat trick that sticks around. It's just like 1 and a white instant put. They don't do this anymore, but +1/+2 counters on a creature. It's going to blow you out a little bit. It's going to be an okay combat trick. It's going to stick around. It's going to count for enchantments matters. It's going to trigger Constellation. It'll be fine. It'll be better than it looks like it is, but it's still not going to be something that you should be, going real deep on. And again, no constructed value here. Nyxborn Coarser is 1 white for an enchantment creature Centaur Scout at common. It's a 2/4 with flavor text. Again, no real constructed stuff going on here. This is just a filler card. It's a creature with power and toughness, so you'll probably be okay playing it, and sometimes the enchantment's going to matter. That's about it. Our final white card is Revoke Existence, which is a reprint from original Theros, I want to say. It might have been Born of the Gods, actually. 1 and a white for a sorcery. At common, exile target artifact or enchantment. It's surprisingly good in this format. You may think, oh, it's a sideboard card, but remember, we saw Nyxborn Coarser and Daxos, and there's going to be a number of enchantment creatures in this set. So this actually can be a main deck card in limited quite a bit. It sometimes has sideboard applications in constructed, but we already have access to the card, so standard's the only place where it could maybe make a change. It's not going to add anything to formats where it already exists. So white obviously got a lot of cards previewed yesterday because the Elspeth deck on Arena right now is mono white, but we still have some other cards from other colors. So in blue, we've got Eidolon of Philosophy. Eidolon of Philosophy is a single blue mana for an enchantment creature spirit at common. It's a 1/2, so it's not a 1/1 for 1. I guess that's good. You can pay 6 in a blue and sacrifice it to draw 3 cards. I hope that the fact that you can pay 7 to draw 3 cards means that this is actually going to be a very slow format, but we'll have to see what the format looks like. As is, this card looks very filler. It looks like a card you throw in when you're caring about enchantments, when you're definitely going late, etc. This is going to be entirely dependent on the speed of the format, if it's fine or awful, and it's probably not going to be too much better than fine. Memory Drain is up next. Memory Drain is 2 blue for an instant at common. Counter target spell, Scry 2. It's Dissolve from Theros. Pretty sure it was called Dissolve, which was 1 blue for this, but you scry 1. So +1 mana, +1 scry. It's less good because 4 mana to counter a spell is a very big step down. This probably won't see constructed play. 4 mana counter spells are a very tall ask. Maybe it just does, but I doubt it. I think the counter spells that we have right now are just too much better than this. In black, we have Inevitable End. Inevitable End is 2 in black for an enchantment aura at uncommon. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Cool little card here. You put this on a creature that you want to kill, and your opponent has to decide, do they kill it or do they kill something else every single turn? I think a lot of people are probably going to get a little bit Christmas landy on this. They're going to think, haha, I'm going to put it on this creature, and then my opponent's going to have to sacrifice their entire board to keep it around. But your opponent is making the choice here. If you're putting this on their, 6/6 flying trample creature that's killing you, they're just going to sack their other stuff, and that 6/6 is still going to kill you. It's not going to do any good. If you put this on their 5/5 on the ground that you've been chump blocking and trying to hold on, they may just kill it and keep the rest of their board. Your opponent gets a lot of choice here. And so I think while this card is probably going to be okay, I think it's a very big step down from the actual removal that we're used to. Again, we'll have to keep an eye on this, but that's kind of my first hot take on it. Mire's Grasp is up next. Mire's Grasp is 1 in a black for an enchantment, or a common enchanted creature gets -3/-3. It's kind of like Revoke Soul? It's in the current set, Revoke Soul, I think it's called, which kills a 3-drop. This will typically kill a 3-drop or 2-drop or a 1-drop. There are some 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drops that it won't kill, but on the upside, there are also some 4, 5, 6, 7-drops that this might kill. As well, you can kill stuff after combat when it's got damage marked on it. You can just shrink it if need be. This card looks great. This card looks like a first pickable card. It might not be the most unconditional removal or bomb, but in some packs, this will definitely be a first pick. Probably no constructed value though. Up next is the Rowan War, our first saga. These are back from Dominaria. If you're not familiar with sagas, you play them. They're an enchantment, and you put a story counter on Act 1 and it triggers. At your next upkeep, you move that story counter to 2 and that triggers. The third upkeep, or I guess second upkeep, you move it to the third act, it triggers, and then the saga goes away. And you don't get a chance to bounce the saga or anything like that on the third act. So the Rowan War is 3 in a red for an enchantment saga at rare. The first act is gain control of target creature for as long as the Rowan War remains on the battlefield. Act 2, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control must attack each turn if able. And Act 3, each tapped creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. This card's trash. This card, from what we've seen so far, is horrible. Act 1 is not a threaten effect. The creature doesn't get haste. You get it, but you don't get to attack with it. You don't even get to untap it if it's already tapped. Act 2, your opponent has to attack you. If you are, in a perfect situation, cool, that's great. But there's going to be so many times where you just can't play this card because you can't afford to have your opponent attack you. And then Act 3, each tapped creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. What have we seen today? We've seen a 1/2, and we've seen a Daxos, who's probably going to be a 2/3 or 4 or 5 or 6. We've seen an Aura that gives +1/+2, a Centaur that's a 2/4. Ashiok makes 2/3s. So far, there's a lot of asymmetrical power and toughnesses, with toughness being bigger. I don't like this card. There's so much that could go wrong with this. I'll talk more in the set review about this, but currently, this card looks bad. Underworld Ragehound is up next. Underworld Ragehound is 1 in a red for a creature elemental hound at common. It's a 3/1. It attacks each combat if able. That's what you're doing with your 3/1s for 2 generally. You do like to block with them a little bit, but this one has the upside of having escape for 3 in a red and exile 3 other cards. So it's not always 4 cards. It looks like it can be other numbers. And Underworld Ragehound escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it. So it actually comes back as a 4/2. So yeah, this is kind of cool. You get to attack. You get your damage in, which is what you want to do with a 3/1. Eventually, it probably trades with something. It might trade down with like a 1/1 or something like that, but it kills something. And then it can just come back whenever you want it to come back and have 3 cards in your graveyard. Pretty cool little card here. It's still just going to be filler. It's not going to be a high pick or anything like that. It's not probably going to see constructed play. This doesn't really look like it would go in a mono red deck at all. But I think it's a cool little templating here for the escape mechanic. Colossus's design is up next. Colossus, by the way, is the god of destiny who has, for the first time in centuries or something, risen from the Underworld. So who knows what this Colossus god is going to do. Colossus's design is 5 and a green for a sorcery and uncommon. Creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is your devotion to green. I really don't like this card because this does not even get you back in. At least, overrun. If you have like a 3/3, you can maybe do a little bit of extra damage by giving it +3/+3. But if you've only got like 1 creature or 2 creatures, this card is horrible. It doesn't give trample. I'm going to stay away from this card to start. It could be as bad as Stampede the Citadel, I think it was called in War of the Spark. Maybe it'll be a little bit better, like the Overwhelm, I think it was, in M20 got a little bit better than the last time we saw it, but still not much, as is this card doesn't look great, and 0 constructed play. Nyxborn Colossus is 3 green for an enchantment creature giant at common. It's a 6/7 with flavor text. It's filler. It's super duper filler. There's no trample. There's no nothing on it. So filler for all formats and probably not going to be played. Setessan Champion is 2 and a green for a creature human warrior at rare. It's a 1/3 with constellation. So here's the constellation mechanic back. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Setessan Champion and draw a card. This could definitely get out of control. A 1/3 for 3 is a little bit undercosted, but the second you play your first enchantment and it becomes a 2/4 and draws a card, that's great for 3 mana. And then we're looking at a 3/5, 4/6, etc. I messed up the math on that, plus drawing a card every turn. This is definitely a payoff for going into the enchantments deck. This is why you're going to play maybe that Indomitable Will. It's, surprise, much better than a combat trick in this deck because it actually draws you a card and gives you a counter as well as whatever else happens. So yeah, Setessan Champion looks really cool. I'm going to be excited to play with it. It's obviously going to take some work. I don't think it's going to be, a stone cold bomb in limited, but I'm excited to give it a try. Maybe see some constructed play in standard. And then the last card that got previewed today was Staggering Insight. Staggering Insight is white-blue for an enchantment aura at uncommon. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So 2 mana for +1/+1 and lifelink is okay. Obviously, again, it's going to have to depend on how much bounce and, quick instant speed removal there is. And then having the curiosity effect on it is also pretty cool. Throwing this on a flyer and hey, look what colors it's in, blue-white, which typically is the Flyers deck, even if it's not explicitly the archetype. Makes me a little bit excited about this as an aura. We're going to have to see how good auras are in this set. Like I said, we're going to have to be keeping our eye out for instant speed removal bounce, but we'll see. So that's it for today's previews. There were a ton of them because of the whole release on Magic Arena of those 2 decks. Hopefully, we're going to go back to having, 5 or 6 a day, and these videos will be a little bit small. Now, we do have the Where to Find Theros Beyond Death previews article, and unfortunately, I don't have one this time around. It looks like they're doing the same thing they did with Core Set 2020, where they've given a lot of previews to non-English, non-North American news websites and streamers and things like that, which is a great bit of representation. A little bit disappointed I don't have one, but that's kind of cool. But we're going to be doing these recaps anyways, so I can tell you the next of these videos will be on or around December 24th, where we get the next preview. And then we're going to have previews starting every day from there. We'll have one Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and every single day there's going to be, it looks like probably 1 or 2 or 3 spoilers until December 30th, where the floodgates open, and we're going to start doing all the previews. So let me know what you're thinking of these previews, what you think of the event that's going on Magic Arena right now. I talk a lot of crap about Magic Arena. This free event where you win some boosters of Theros that you can open next month is cool. I can't in any way criticize a free event. There's a lot of other stuff I can criticize. Stay tuned for the news video coming out today or tomorrow. But yeah, go check it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of these cards. As always, you can find me over on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Inked Gaming, all those things. You know them. But if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see you.